Hey guys, this is Gloria. So I am back because I am going to attempt a project, and I'm not sure if it's going to come out right or not, but I wanted to share with you guys. So I had the step stool in my bedroom that I wanted to redo, and I've had this step stool for a long time. I picked it up from the thrift store probably years ago, and it was $2.90. I'm going to show you the underside because I've already almost painted it all. I have to go back in and paint some more with my chalk paint. The chalk paint that I used is the one from Walmart. And I'm sorry, I have it on the other side of the room right now, so I can't show it to you right now, but I will show it to you later on once I do my reveal of however this is going to come out. So I painted my stool. It was like this bright kind of green color. I wiped it down first and then I painted it. And as you can see, there is still some stains kind of showing through. I'm going to sand this down a little bit, and then I'm going to go back and maybe paint another coat of chalk paint, depending on, you know, if, let me put some more light on it, but I'm going to paint some, another coat of chalk paint on top. I started out painting this with pink chalk paint, and then I didn't like how bright the pink was. And then I went in with this color, and I believe this is sheepskin. It's like an off-white, kind of antique white, and I like it much better. My idea is to put this image that I created using some Maggie Holmes digital images from AC Digitals. I created this on my Cricut Maker program, and I can share with you guys how I did that, and I will actually insert the clip. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to apply this image to the stool after I prepare it, and I'll go over how I prepare this image prior to putting it on the stool and the things that I use and all that good stuff. So I will be back to share with you guys what this actually comes out looking like. Again, it's just a stool for myself, but we'll see how it goes. So I will be back, guys. All right, guys, so I am back. I have sanded this down as much as I wanted to with a hand sander. I use this one right here from Dollar Tree, and it looks like this is called a sanding sponge, and it's medium coarse grit. And what I did was I pretty much sanded down the edges as much as I wanted the green to come back and show up. And because I painted this with pink first, some of the pink is kind of showing through a bit as well. I did sand the top and made it nice and smooth, but as you can see, the edges are distressed a bit. And so I was looking on YouTube, and I know that you can use Mod Podge to transfer images, but I saw a lady use her chalk paint to transfer the image as well, and I thought that was pretty cool. So we're going to try that. The chalk paint that I used here is this Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint, and I may have gotten this from Joann or either Hobby Lobby. I'm not exactly sure. This was not one that I picked up from, what do you call that place? Hobby Lobby. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour a little bit of the paint. You don't need a lot. I'm just going to pour a little bit inside of my top right here. And I'm going to, and I'm sorry that I'm like super close to my project. Let's see if I can get it up a little bit more. What I'm going to do is I have this chalk paintbrush, and I used it, you know, yesterday when I painted the stool. And so it's kind of, I don't know if it's fraying out or what, but I washed it and I let it dry in, you know, in a little bucket, but I don't know what's going on with it right now. But anyway, we're going to see if this works. And if it doesn't work, then we can always go back in and repaint it and start again and maybe use the Mod Podge. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting on not a thin layer, but not a thick layer what the lady did was she put on an even layer. That was not super thick, but not super thin. And so that is what I am going to try. And I'm going to try to make it as thinned out as possible without making it too thin. Especially all where my image is going to go. And so for my image, what I did was I cut out, I'm just trying to find a place to put this. I should have thought this out a little bit better. But I cut my image out in a circular pattern, as you can see right here. And I just didn't want that dark line to be around it because I didn't want to transfer that. So what I'm going to do is just lay my image down, try to get it in the middle. And I'm going to, once I lay it down, I'm just going to smooth it out as best I can with my fingers. And then I'm going to go back in, and I think I have a gift card somewhere. Just trying to find something to kind of smooth it out with. And I just saw, I don't know what happened to it, but we're going to use this ruler. And I'm just going to smooth this out the best I can and get it all kind of stuck down, going on top of my image as much as I possibly can. And we're going to see if this works for us. I have no idea. I've never tried this technique before, so we're going to see. So I'm going to finish smoothing that out and getting that all down as much as I possibly can, because you want the paint to act like a transfer medium and transfer the image onto the stool. And hopefully I got it all down where I need it to be. So we're going to see. I actually have to let this dry, and then we will come back and work on the stool again. So it feels like it's all stuck down, so we will see once I come back. Hey guys, this is Gloria. I am back to share with you how I created the image that I put on my stool. So the first thing that I did was I downloaded my images, which these are images from AC Digitals, and this is the Maggie Holmes Gather collection. She has this really pretty ballerina card, as well as this Hello Love little wreath, I guess. So the first thing that I did, because I wanted this wreath around this ballerina, I took this Hello Love image, and I went over to this side and I clicked on shapes, and I just clicked a circle. Once I got the circle, I put the circle over the words, making sure that the wreath was bigger than the circle so that I wouldn't hit any of those pieces, but big enough to go on top of the words. And what I do over here on the right hand side is I click, make sure that, you know, the wreath part is highlighted. And then on my keyboard, I hold down shift and I click the circle. And now I've grouped those two together pretty much. I mean, it's not grouped, but they're selected together. And then the next thing that I'm going to hit is I'm going to go right down here at the bottom and click slice. Once I click slice, what you're going to see is this right here. And if I move these images now, you'll see that I have sliced that out of the middle portion. And I don't need any of these images anymore, so I can delete, delete, and delete. And now I have just this little wreath that I could put around my ballerina girl. Now I wanted it to be more oval than circle. So what I did was I went up top right here. I unclicked this lock proportion, and this way I could make this more of an oval shape. instead of being um, circular. So the width is 6, and I'm going to make the height 7, and it makes it more of an oval instead of a circle. And so you can just drag it over to your image to see if your image fits or not. You can also take the ballerina image and size her down a bit, which is what I did. I just sized it down to fit inside of my largest image, because the reef part is going to be how large my actual image is going to be once I print it. Once you get it to the measurements that you want, you're going to either go right up here and click select all, or you can go over here to the side, make sure one is selected, hold down shift and select the other. And now you've selected both of those. So what I do down here at the bottom is I attach, and I also flatten the image. Flattening the image will allow you to print this as one image. And so when I go to make this, and if I click make right up here at the top, it's going to be just like this. And if I printed this out, you'll see the pink background as well as the black and the ballerina. But I don't want it to print that way because I'm going to use it as a transfer. So what I need to do, and also when you're using it as a transfer, you're putting it face down. So if you want your ballerina to be exactly the way that you see it on the screen on your project, you need to mirror this image. So you'll go right over here and you'll just click mirror. And once you mirror that, it's going to change the direction of the image. And then this way, when you put it down on your project, it's going to be in the same way that you wanted it to be when you saw it on the screen. So if you have words, it's very important that you mirror your image, because if not, your words will come out backwards. So you make sure that you mirror that image. So now that that is done, and remember the background is still pink, we don't really want it to be pink. So what you're going to do is you're going to click continue. When you click continue, mine says that no devices found. That's because I'm upstairs and not downstairs in my craft room. So we're not going to worry about that, because we're not even going to use our maker or anything like that. We're just using the program to create our image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say send to printer. And when I click send to printer, you get these boxes right here. So this is my printer. This is how many copies. Auto bleed is on, so I want to take that off because I want my image to be as crisp as possible. Right here it says use system dialog. I'm going to click that because I want to be able to change this image to a black and white image. That's the only reason why I'm going to say use system dialog. When I click print, my system dialog box actually goes behind this image. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to black and white. And that way my image will be printed out black and white. Unfortunately, I can't show you that image box or the dialog box. It is there, but I don't want to show it to you only because I'm working from home and my work software is behind this this screen. So once it's done printing, then you're done with your Cricut system. You don't need to use Design System anymore. You're going to prep whatever it is that you're going to put the image on, whether it is using Mod Podge, Paint, or what have you. In this instance, I've used Paint. We're going to see if the image actually transfers using Paint. I do have to allow it to dry. The lady that I followed said to let it dry overnight. So I'm going to just go ahead and let it dry for most of the day. I will come back and share with you guys what it looks like, if I succeeded or if not. If I didn't succeed, all it takes is repainting the stool and then trying it with Mod Podge or trying a different technique to get the image printed down on there. I did save my project to Cricut just in case it doesn't work. I can always go back in and just reprint that same image and try it again. So we will see. I will be back to share with you guys what the finished project looks like. Hey guys, this is Gloria. I am back, and it has not been 24 hours, but I am so impatient that I wanted to try to see what this was going to come out looking like. So I'm just taking a sponge and I am lightly rubbing the surface or the backside of the paper. Not giving it a lot of pressure at all, and this is a wet sponge. So I'm thinking that I'm only going to try to maybe take off part of the paper, not the whole, like not all the way down to the ink part. So all you do is you just take the wet sponge and you kind of just rub it around. I will say that when I tried earlier with the paint did transfer the image, but the image was very, very, very light. And so what I did was I painted over what I did at first, and then I started again with a new image that I printed off of my inkjet printer. This time I used some glue. I couldn't find my Mod Podge, and I couldn't find my, what do you call that? My Elmer's glue, like my school glue, which is what I was looking for. And so, I'm not exactly sure where they are, but I used some wood glue, and then I thought about it a few minutes ago, and I realized that maybe I shouldn't have used that, only because wood glue is waterproof, and so I may not be able to get all of the paper off if I have wood glue, some wood glue on the back of the paper, which would seal the paper almost to the project instead of allowing the paper to be buffed away. So I don't know if you can see right here. See, it's very, very light, the transfer. What you're looking at right now where it's really dark is actually the paper backing that's still on. From what I hear, if you use a copier with toner in it, then it gives you a better image to transfer than when you do this with an inkjet printer. Because the inkjet printer is not waterproof, and so when you're doing this scrubbing part or rubbing part, you're actually rubbing away some of your image, as you can see right here. See how faint that line is right there? Now I can go over it with a Sharpie to try to darken it up in the places where the ink comes off a little bit too much. And in those places where the ink comes off too much, you don't want to keep on rubbing, actually. There's a lot of glue on here. My finger is like slipping across as I'm trying to rub it. So actually, I think that I did better when I used the paint to transfer, as opposed to when I used the glue. As you can see, all of this has come off. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to take this entire image off, and then I'm going to go back to using the paint to try to transfer the image. One way or another, I'm going to get this image down on this stool. So I will be back to share with you guys, hopefully, the completed project. Okay, guys, so I got all of that paper and sticky stuff off. And as you can see, the image that was left behind is not from this time that I just did it. It was from the first time when I did it with the paint. So I am just going to go back over and paint this one more time. Let it dry, and then I'm going to use the paint technique once again, put the image down on here, and I'm going to let it dry for 24 hours. I won't touch it until tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, I will be back to share with you guys the completed project. Hey, guys, this is Gloria. I am back with the moment of truth. This is the second time I applied the image to the step stool, I went back to applying it with paint instead of the glue. The glue did not work, so we're going to try it with the paint. So what you do is you're going to wet the background of the paper, and you're simply going to rub. And what you're doing is you're rubbing the top layer of the paper off and hopefully leaving the image behind. So it's a tedious process because it does take a while to get through the paper, but you're just going to keep on rubbing in small areas until you can get the paper backing off and you leave the image behind. I do have a inkjet printer as well. Not an inkjet. I use the inkjet, but I do have a laser printer. It's not hooked up, so I would have to hook it up. Because if this doesn't work, then I may try to use the other printer that I have, but hopefully this works for us. So you're just going to keep on rubbing with your finger in small areas, getting the paper backing to loosen from the image and hopefully leaving the image behind. I will say, you see how dark it looks right here? This and right here and right here, that's not the image transferred. That still has the paper on it. So it's not going to be as dark as that, but we're hoping to leave at least the image behind. So I will continue to rub this off, and I will come back and share with you guys what it looks like after I finish rubbing the entire image. Okay, guys, so I am back, and I pretty much got all of the paper off. It may be a thin layer of paper still on here. As you can see, if I rub it, you can see more of the paper coming up in certain areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to kind of rub around the image without using any water this time, and just try to clean up most of the image before I go on to the next step, which would be to seal this. I did buy a matte seal spray from Walmart. So I'm going to use that to spray down the stool after I get all of this paper residue and backing off of the stool. I may also hit it with a piece of sandpaper. This is just sandpaper that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. And this is waterproof abrasive number 240. And so I just kind of fold it in half. It's the same piece that I was using when I was sanding the piece earlier around the edges. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of take it, not very rough, but take it and try to sand a little bit around the image to get as much of the backing off as I possibly can. And I'm going to go with the grain of the wood, which is this way, when I'm sanding it. And I'm also going to try to like blend the image into the wood a little bit better, so, or the paint. So I will be back to share with you guys the completed project. Hey guys, this is Gloria. I am finished with my little step stool. As you guys can see, the image did transfer over, which I'm super happy with. As you guys know, I did go back to painting it and then putting the image into the wet paint and allowing that to dry for 24 hours. And that really did make a difference. As you can see, the image is much darker. I did go through and I got all of the paper off, and then I used my sandpaper to sand it down a bit to kind of knock it back down into the paint as much as I could. And then I used this matte clear, crystal clear lacquer from Walmart, and it worked great. It did not put a shiny sheen on top of it. It is very matte. It almost looks just like it looked before I sprayed the matte crystal lacquer on there. And it says 30 minutes dry to touch. So this has been sitting outside for about an hour. So it should be dry, but I am going to let it sit a little while longer. Now, when I was transferring the image at the bottom, I did mess up a bit. And let me just move some stuff around on my table so that you guys could see it. So I did mess up a bit down here when I was transferring the image, and I tried to fix it with a Sharpie marker, but the Sharpie actually was a bit too dark. I tried using black. It was very, very dark. And then I tried using a gray color marker. It just didn't do well. So what I did was I just kind of sanded it as much as I could. And then I used one of my bowls that I created using the air dry clay and put that right on the bottom. I knew I was going to put a bow on this step stool somewhere. I thought that I would put it on the front somewhere up in there, but it worked out where this fits good right here in the middle. So I did put that down with E6000 glue, and then I also used a little bit of hot glue just to hold it in place while the E6000 sets up. That's going to set up for at least 24 hours before I go back in with another coat of the crystal lacquer to spray over the entire piece. On this bow, when I use the clay is gray when you first use it. As it dries to a white. That's how you kind of know that it's already, you know, ready for you to use. But for this particular bow, I did take some of the same chalk paint that I used on the stool. I took it and I just dry brushed it on to the bow, not covering the entire white part of the bow, but just kind of the highlight areas of it. And then I came back in with some Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and it looks like this. I just put a little bit on my finger, and I kind of just spread it around on the bow. And I kind of wanted to mimic a used kind of not rustic, but used vintage look to the bow. And I think it came out really, really cute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow this to dry, and then I'm going to spray the entire thing with the crystal lacquer once again, and then I will be done with my little stool. I love the way it came out, and I hope that you guys do too. I will insert pictures of the stool at the end of this video. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and I'll get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Take care, guys. Bye.